capisce, ma noi sì, Milan è la gloria per l'eternità. Paolo, Franco, il nostro passato, con ogni vittoria il cuore infuocato. Repir non capisce, ma noi sì, Milan è la gloria per l'eternità. Leader, siamo Milan, leader, chiamiamo rossoneri.
Milan per sempre il nostro destino milanista, il ruggito divino dal San Siro alle cumbre lontane, rossoni per sempre fino al domani.
Milan per sempre il nostro destino, milanista il ruggito divino, dal San Siro alle cumbre lontane, rossoni per sempre fino al domani. Milan per sempre il nostro destino, milanista il ruggito divino, dal San Siro alle cumbre lontane, rossoni per sempre fino al domani.
Are we live?
We're live.
All right, well, buongiorno, buonasera, buon pomeriggio, ciao a tutti i milanisti nel mondo. Welcome everyone to a pre-Christmas Milanista 360 get-together. This is our opportunity to really share our, I guess, feelings of what's happened over the last week or so. That's why we've called this episode Milanisti Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace. We've had a lot happen to us from the 125th anniversary celebration. Who went, who didn't go, that exploded in the media. Then the gala dinner, who went, who didn't go, but then for the people who went, how they went in is another story. And then the carnage of yesterday, the match. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, Nico, but then also the obvious news about the Redbird renewal. So we'll give you some facts. We'll go through them all. But then the important thing here is your opportunity to, say what you think about the situation. I've got some feedback from one of our close friends, Art, also known as the Realistic Milanista. And I'll read out some of the stuff he has said. But Nico, how are you today, sir? How's it going?
Oh, considering everything, personal life is great, work's good, family's good, but on the sporting side of things with our club, that's a whole different story. Obviously,
Yeah. I think the reason we wanted to do this was to kind of think, and this is quite funny, Nico. I suggested it, I think, a couple of days ago and said, let's think about short, medium, long term. This was before we knew about Cardinale, right? And it kind of affects everything from now on. But Italian channels have started to do the same thing, short, medium, and long term plans. And it's just a weird coincidence that people are. I think a lot of the fan base are thinking the same way. Finally, Nico, they're just going, okay, we need to see a way through this because there's no way we can wait until 2028 in this chaos. We just can't be sitting there for this many years without any expectation, can we? It's just not the way Milan is. So we have to kind of try and pick our way through the chaos. So, Nico, do you want to do the screen share, and I
Yeah, let's
will
before that, let's jump into
go on?
yesterday's game just to do a quick recap
Yes,
on the game. So, obviously, did you watch the game, John? All right,
I listened to it, and
listen to
I got to say, guys, I am not going to be paying to watch Milan
it.
live for a while, and I have found myself a really good um, guy who does a commentary. Nico, a really really talented guy. His name is Rinaldo Morelli. I suggest any Italian speakers to subscribe to him because he's a fantastic commentator. He really describes what's going on with the ball, how the players are going, but then also he describes, and he's a really funny and witty guy, and he's a bit maybe our age, a bit older than us, Nico. He's really well experienced. You can tell he's done commentary before, or has worked in the media before. Is really good, and I'd always say this, guys. Why not teach yourself Italian at the same time? He's a really talented commentator. So Rinaldo Morelli, really, really recommend him. It was my discovery yesterday, and I think I'm gonna be following Milan this way from now on. I'm not paying this ownership a single penny more.
And I'm assuming he's a Milanisti, right?
Huge Milanista. So he does quite a lot of stuff with other big Italian hosts. Often you can see him talking to Enrico Silvestrin as well. So yeah, they've got tens of thousands of subs between them. So no, really really big Milanista. And what he does as well, Nico, which I think you'll appreciate, he rewatches the game the following day and does a show that says, I rewatched the game. He puts himself through a lot of the pain and to give you a better analysis the following day as well. So, um, yeah, I mean, I watch this stuff to keep up my Italian, keep up with it because there's not a lot spoken in my household. But then also, because you find, as we've shown plenty of times in the past, you get news first in Italy, and you get all the news in Italy, and often you only get tidbits in English channels, which I think is pretty unfair for English speaking audiences.
Yeah,
So
we spoke about that last season as well. It's kind of the same thing this season. That hasn't changed a bit for us.
no, that's not, unfortunately. Although I'd say this, Nico, the press conferences that the manager does, however useless they are in English pretty quickly these days. So they're trying to do something. The club. But carry on. Please tell us
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. No, I did. So I did watch the game. Unfortunately, I was working. The only reason I watched it was for Gavi. I wanted to see how his performance was, see how he was improving with Chow. Obviously, that's all. I could care less about the rest of the team. Obviously, nothing excites me anymore. Just like the other guy you were talking about, I do rewatch the games a lot of times, most of the time.
Yeah,
Analyze, prepare notes for my post games and other pods. But it's gotten to the point where you see the same stuff again and again, the same patterns, same mistakes. And how many times can you talk about the same things over and over again?
yeah,
So credit to him for doing that because I can't do it anymore.
yeah. I
I
mean,
can't. I love doing it. It's a passion of mine to analyze games, but um, I've spoken about some tactical stuff that Fonseca has available to him. Just common stuff. He hasn't shown that yet. Um, but the game itself, it was what it was, right? We it was a 1-0 game. Verona didn't offer much at all, nothing. So I know we kept a clean sheet. Yippee yay, right? Big deal. They were lifeless out there. They didn't press the action. They weren't trying to win balls. Most of their shots on goal. A couple of good saves by Mike. They had some. It was a 1v1 with Gabbia. There was a giveaway by I think Chuck early in the first half. He just gave the ball back to. He passed it to nobody, straight to a Verona player. He broke out on a counter. Gabbia did enough to slow him down. He took a shot on goal. Mike saved it. Routine save. But other than that, their shots were awful. They were off target. Um, nothing really to worry about that in that case. And obviously that was that one nice goal from Fofana to Johnny. But on that point, real quick, and I spoke about this yesterday on RTV with Roy. A lot of people were really gassing up that play, saying it was world class. Look how great of a pass that was. Listen, and I'm sure you, if you see that play, John, as well
Mm.
on a replay,
I watched the
it was a
highlights. Yeah,
it was a routine play, and I don't want to take anything away from the play from Fofana. It was a good play, good vision, good run by Tajani, but those type of things are taught at a U10, U11 level at the academies. Timing your runs, running behind the back shoulder of the center back, all that stuff, man. Like that's nothing. That's not world class. World class is Maradona. World class is Zidane. World class is Cruyff. World class is stuff that Messi used to do when he was in his prime.
yeah. I mean, I'll give
Even
I'll
yeah,
give
yeah, go ahead, John.
I'll give Reindeers credit for the finish. It was a nice
Yeah, it was a
finish.
nice finish, but it's not world class. You expect. Listen, we were surprised because last season his finishing was piss poor.
It was awful last season. We
So
were
now that
worried if
he's
that was his.
putting
Yeah,
it on target, he's scoring. We're like, wow, wow, look at him. Listen, that's what he's paid to do. All right.
yeah. I mean, so Nico, on that, I'll say this. I've seen a few comments from other channels, and people have said, okay, just Chicken Royale actually performed really well. He had a good game. My answer to things like that are we were playing Verona, guys. We were playing a team that basically did not attack, had nobody up front. I don't really understand where people are. I know you're grasping at straws. I know that some channels have to produce content, but come on, guys. We the difference between the Genoa game, Nico, where we drew 0-0, and this game is just that the chance was taken. But the actual gameplay itself was stale. It was horrid. The team were dead, and this was I heard several times. Ronaldo talking about it, saying, "Oh my God, this is a horrific game." And I'm not joking. Even listening to the commentary, I fell asleep for part of that game. It was so bad. Probably the most entertaining thing. I'm not joking, you Nico. Before halftime, Ronaldo dropped something on his desk, and it went everywhere. And he did the hoovering at half time with his dog chasing him. That was probably the most entertaining thing about the bloody match. I don't understand how anybody can take a positives out of that. It means nothing in the bigger scheme of things. The game play is dead. Yes, one good move, but if you remember against Genoa, Morata had an enormous chance that he missed. This is the same thing where the chance was actually taken. We can't keep going like this. These performances are coming against extremely weak teams, and they're not performances. I think on RTV yesterday, somebody made the point. It might have been Roy himself. Brescia scored 4 goals against this lot. It's just so poor, Nico, and we all know what's coming. And now I'm genuinely thinking, I don't have a clue. Name an opponent. I don't have a clue what we're going to do. That's a real worry.
It's a toss up.
Um, yeah,
Anybody's guess,
it's anybody's guess,
honestly.
isn't it, Nico? But you won't know from the lineup what's going on. And the other question I had for you was, you watched the game itself. What did you think of this idea of Terracciano in midfield?
It worked out, but it was against Verona.
Yeah,
But against a team like Inter, with more quality in the midfield, especially putting in a kid like that with zero time to build any chemistry for Fofana
yes,
is a risk.
yeah,
At this point, I guess you got to put him somewhere. He's got no options really, and that's
yeah. I
that's
mean,
on him as well. That's on him because he didn't integrate the youngsters earlier in the season. If he had
correct.
integrated Voss, I know Zaroli's hurt, so we can't even bring him up anymore. He's still
Mm,
out from what I know. But Voss was this highly touted youngster from Ajax that we picked up.
yeah,
that was supposed to be for the first team. Then he was put in the Futuro. We heard good things about him, but we know how that program is going. They've kind of stunted their development. So you bring him up. You've had opportunities to bring him up earlier in the season to get him playing time, knowing that you lack midfielders.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here he is out of desperation, doesn't know what to do. So he puts in Tereshano midweek. He tries him out in the midfield in the double pivot during the week, and he decides to play him. But is it that answer long term? No. It's just plug in a hole
It is
for
indeed.
now.
Yeah. Exactly, Nico. I completely agree with you on that. This question we've had a whole season about player integration, careful player integration over time. You had plenty of opportunities against plenty of very weak opponents, and it's not been done. And now it's literally the injuries are piling up, which they usually do around this time of year, and he's just throwing bodies into the mix. Just want to say quick hello to Fahadinho, quick hello to Art. He's in the chat as well. Hope you guys are all right. And Fahadinho, on your comment on producing content is one thing, being authentic and realistic is another. Art would appreciate that. He's the realistic Milanista, the original one. But I'd say we've had this discussion, Nico. There's frustration, isn't there, between the behavior of different channels, and I've kind of got this view that's, I guess, it's a little bit different, which is, I get it. If you've got pressure to make money, blah blah blah, then maybe you might go down the route of just switching and saying, "Look, Chicken Royale did all right yesterday. I think he's actually a decent player. I don't condone it, because you will never catch me saying Chicken Royale is a decent player. He's just given us too much data to demonstrate that he's not. And the moment somebody will truly take him on, they'll beat him, because that's what. And he'll give away penalties. He'll continue giving away fouls near the box. He's just not good enough. So there's the question here, Nico, and I wanted your opinion on that, which is Jimenez. We did hear earlier on in the season that, and I heard from other Serie C managers after they played their Futuro team, them saying Jimenez and Voss don't belong at this level. They're clearly better. And when we heard that, we thought, okay, so are we going to see them? And of course, we never did see them. And now that he's being forced, Jimenez is coming in. But yesterday, Jimenez was used in a strange way. What is your opinion on getting Theo to start at left back and Jimenez to start at right back?
It could work out. The one thing that Jimenez does have over Emerson is pace, which is important, because the way Fonseca likes to play when we have the ball in the attack, both fullbacks go up in the attack, right? They're high up the pitch, trying to score goals, cross the ball, whatever, trying to get that numerical advantages up front, right? Score goals, which we're not scoring much goals anyways, which leaves our two center backs exposed for counters, right? Which we've seen good teams do. Verona didn't do that. They were really slow on the counter. And that's pace, and he's 1v1 defending. He's a little bit better from what I've seen than Emerson. By himself, he does show the ability to defend, but the quality of opponents so far, let's see what he does. Can he do against players like Kvaratskhelia, Lookman, those type of players? That's when it's going to tell you the difference. Is he actually going to be able to take over? Is he a better right back than Chicken Royale or not? But because I brought this up in yesterday's in our WhatsApp chat, and Carmelo pointed as like they wouldn't work out, and I said, why wouldn't that work out? He goes, because we get hit on the counter much. So my answer to that, Carmelo, there is something that Fonseca could do to not take those chances, and that's leaving either Theo behind. Well, you don't want to leave there, or just leave Jimenez back there. So instead of having both fullbacks up in the attack, you keep three defenders behind the ball.
Yeah.
There's your answer. But is Fonseca going to do that? He hasn't shown he doesn't want to make those changes. So, I mean, yeah. But to answer your point, he is an upgrade to Emerson for sure.
Yeah. So,
without a
what's
doubt.
your opinion on what happened yesterday when Leao picked up that injury, and it now looks like it's a strain? What's your opinion on the way that Jimenez and Theo worked that flank?
Yeah, Jimenez shows confidence. It's definitely an upgrade for sure. I think going forward, he should be starting games, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Strange rumors, isn't it, that clubs are looking at him for a loan, and
Well,
Milan are assessing
like
whether to do
yeah, I
that.
think Monza's one of them.
Of course they are.
And I'm sure I know Madrid. Their back line is getting old as well. They're
Yeah.
not getting any younger. So I guarantee they're going to look to get him back, to bring Jimenez back at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's not get too excited about Jimenez. He might be going back to Real Madrid at some point in the near
Yeah.
future.
Okay. I didn't take much else from that game. Did you, Nico?
Other than that, there's not much to say. What else is to say, John? Wow, nothing.
No,
Nothing to say.
not a huge amount for me. I would just 3 points. Yep. If Bologna win today, they go back above us. I don't really understand what's happening at the moment. I think everybody has now fully understood what's going on, which is that the sporting side is second to everything else, which is uh, a problem going forward, and I think it leads well into our uh, a few of our images to talk about, Nico.
So yeah, Lab. Before we dive into the other segment of the show, so Fadinha brings up a good point. So he says some flopping content providers lost credibility for changing their views where the wind blows. Mamma mia. So this is
Yeah,
an ongoing thing. I don't want to mention names. I've said my piece online, but I do agree with Fadinha. Yeah, I know that these content creators, obviously the big ones out there, are pressed to put out content for their followers, right? For
yeah,
revenue, whatever the case is. I understand that. But there's no reason to change your views almost on a daily basis, depending on how your most of your subscribers feel, or whatever the case is. Like, if you feel a
yeah.
certain way about the club now, stick with it. And one other thing I do want to point out, regardless of how we feel, like, because this whole thing started with the Maldini thing, right? With Maldini not showing
It
up.
did. Yeah,
So I just want to make a quick thing, and we'll dive into everything else. Just because I support Maldini and other people on this channel and people that we're friends with, and support Maldini's decision for not showing up,
Mm,
doesn't make us anti-Milanisti, anti-Milan. We can love
that's
the
true.
club and love Maldini, support him at the same time. Just like we
Yeah,
can love the
absolutely.
club, just like we can love the club and hate Redbird continuously.
Yep,
It's possible.
with passion.
That's all I can say. That's all I have to say about that.
That's a great point. Great point. Absolutely. As I've said, I think this channel. The reason I joined first it was Shane and Hasney, right? The reason I went with them is because we're like-minded folk. We just want to have a chat, and I've got no agenda. I literally have no agenda as to why I did this. I just love the club. Use this channel as a way. It's really cathartic, actually, to be able to talk about things and to be able to do some research. So to give you guys a bit of context, I'm a scientist, I'm a researcher, so I'm really accustomed to taking data, looking at the data, getting that data to present it succinctly. I enjoy it because I learn. At the same time, I'm learning about the club. Great example a few weeks back when Husney said, "Let's look at the futuro." I had zero idea who Kirovsky was until that point, Nico, and I openly admit that. Because I was focusing so much on the senior squad. Then you start to kind of unearth things, and you get even more kind of I don't know, upset, maybe disappointed with the club and how it's being run today, because you start to unearth facts that are very, very disappointing. So as I said, it's been good. I've released a video, you've released a video, Shane has released a video, and everybody knows where we stand. And I don't think, Nico, that we are going to shift our opinion on that. However, if somebody comes in and gives a very good explanation for something being done, other than calling people names, then I'm more than willing to listen and have that discussion with people. And I don't think anybody on our channel feels otherwise. I think the disappointing part, as you said, is I believe personally in life, you and in work, you get to know people when you're going through tough situations. You get to know what they're really made of. And at the moment, our club is going through a very tough situation, and you're getting to see the true core of some channels. That's basically what it is, and that's my take from it. And you're because it exposes people for what they really are doing. We I never joined this channel to get more subscribers. I never joined to get followers. I don't care about much of that. I'm here because I love the club. I want to talk about the club, and I want to talk to other Milanisti about the club. I think you feel the same, Nico, and I can guarantee that Shane and Husney are the same as well. So, saying all of that, that's why I think we can afford to just say, you know what, this is my stance. I've never changed it since Redbird's come, and the reason my stance has never changed on it is because Redbird has never done anything to walk the walk, Nico. Not one thing have they done to walk the walk. The talk about the stadium, it was all garbage. The talk about wanting to win trophies, all garbage. They're talking about understanding the history and keeping up with it. It's all been lies that we've been given. And I don't think there's a single fact that we have said that has been wrong about this. And even the stuff about Theo, and people are like, oh, we don't want to discuss it, blah blah blah. That is what is in the Italian fan base in Italy and what they know. We're just presenting what people are being shown. So make your own mind on it. But we're not here kind of saying, oh, this will happen. They're going to build a stadium. The evidence right now is that it's all lies. There's been nothing done to actually prove that anything they've suggested and promised will come true. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nico. Have you been cut off?
Yeah, sorry, now I'm back. I just had a little visitor in the office.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, to all your points that you just made. I didn't catch everything, so my daughter stepped in. She wanted something from me. But 100%. Yes, Redbird hasn't done anything from day one. We called it. And I'm not saying, oh, we told you so, but we did tell you so at the same time. It's unfortunate that we were right. We didn't want to be right for this. Obviously, we don't want to see our club being destroyed, the fabric of the club being disrespected.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Jerry, we heard Jerry's talk, the way he had no passion for the club, for football, doesn't want to be part of the locker room, doesn't want to be involved with anything in terms of connected with the club emotionally. That tells you a lot right there.
Yeah.
This is just an asset. We said it a million times. There are other channels that said it as well. This is this has been said 100 million times. And now we see it with the club, with Scaroni coming out the other day and saying, "Oh, we're building San Donato's not happening. We're going to continue our plans with building a stadium at San Siro with Inter."
Yeah,
that's what happened. And he also said the fact that don't expect to win. I think that's something he came out with in other comments like don't expect any winning from us. Any Champions League, we're not about that.
I think Scaroni has probably said expect us to qualify for things, but trophies, that would be nice if we get trophies, but I'm not sure if we'll be getting we'll be able to get
what is interesting, what do you keep hearing Inter saying? That we want to win Scudettos, we want to win Champions League.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's no question on
that. That's
the
difference between the two projects. Even though they're currently owned by an American team owners, all right, and other clubs is where Atlanta is owned by Americans, a bunch of other clubs in Italy. But the main difference is our ownership put the wrong people in place.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, even Juve, I think they're owned by an American as well right now, a little bit partially. They have
I'm
Giuntoli.
I don't know,
Right.
but I gotta
Yeah,
say, there's a lot of American ownership in Italy. But that doesn't mean any. See, Nico, this is my point: is people please don't take this as some kind of anti-American agenda. It's not. It really isn't. You can be from any country you bloody like, but please show some passion for the club. Show some understanding for the club. I don't care where you're from. I really don't. There may be nationalists out there, but I'm not one of them. And this is the crazy thing about it is that people are like, oh, this is an anti-American agenda, because of what the Curva Sud are saying. That's not what they're saying. They're saying you, Redbird, Jerry Cardinale, are terrible, are a terrible owner. You haven't got a clue about the sporting side. But anyway, Nico,
yeah.
we're getting sidetracked. Let's
Let's
get back to
let's dive
the
into it. Let's
yeah.
dive into it. Let
So
me
you've got
screen share.
control.
Yeah, I got you here. Hold on, lab. Let's bring this up. There you go.
Okay. Is it visible? Yeah.
Yeah, it's visible. Hmm.
Okay, so this all begins with the evening, the match against Genoa in the pre-game. There was our obvious 125th anniversary celebration. The celebration began with the award ceremony where the Rossoneri legends Van Basten, Inzaghi, and Franco Baresi were inducted into this new Emirates AC Milan Hall of Fame. In case people are asking, surely there must have been a Hall of Fame beforehand. Yeah, but Emirates, I think, wanted to start a new one, and they created this new trophy with Tiffany. Um, Now, even here, and personal opinion, Nico. So the whole celebration was available for free on YouTube. The pregame. Felt that it was really low key. That was personally my emotion. I felt actually that there wasn't a lot going on. In fact, I think, Nico, I spotted Brocchi. I think spotted Montolivo. I was a little bit like, what? Who? What? Why? I was a little bit perplexed by it. This whole thing where this kid was going into like a tent thing and then coming out as an older child. I get the point. I get the imagery. It was very cheap, if you ask me. I wasn't really. No, it didn't spring any passion in me, to be honest with you. But then I kind of thought, can I get a list of the notable people that didn't turn up? And please correct me if any of these are wrong, Nico, because this is just from my own research. So Paolo Maldini was missing, Andrei Shevchenko was missing, Kaká was missing, Boban missing, Fabio Capello was missing, Gianni Rivera didn't go, Arrigo Sacchi, Ronaldinho, Cafu, Dida, Nesta were absent. So I would say that these names are pretty serious as people that are missing from the event. And then, obviously, the big one here is let's just take the actual footballing sporting legends out, which you shouldn't because this is a celebration of our heritage. But Jerry Cardinale himself, the owner, the guy that sits there as the head of Redbird Capital, didn't come. The word was that we didn't want to take attention away. I don't think so. You would have done that, my friend. So let's just talk about today. Today, the person that is there, the owner himself, is Jerry Cardinale. People were like, oh, Paolo Maldini should have gone. I don't want to get into that discussion. Paolo Maldini has a right to say yes or no to anything he wants. In fact, all of these individuals that I named have the right to say yes or no for whatever reason. They've earned that right. They have literally put blood, sweat, and tears on the pitch for us. So they deserve that. Now, Jerry Cardinale is the owner. What signal does that give to the fan base for him not to turn up? To me, that gives a signal of, I don't really care about this. I am busy doing something else, and I'm just going to make up a lame excuse not to turn up. So, in all of this, the actual person that comes out looking the worst, to me, is Jerry Cardinale himself. Now, what was really interesting was that Paul Singer was there. So, Here we go. Elliott management, the people that are coming to visit their cash cow, they did turn up and they enjoyed themselves. Now, again, let's just stop there for a minute, Nico. What's your opinion on this?
It speaks volumes about Jerry. That his other assets, whatever else business things he got going on, are more important in his life than Milan. That's the first point. Right, he can care less about coming over and celebrating it, and it's not, the attention's not on you anyways, Jerry. That's a lame excuse. That's just you know really lame excuse lying to the fan base again. And for the fact that those names that you mentioned didn't show up, yeah, they have a right not to show up, and that speaks a lot as well in terms of optics. It says a lot about how they feel currently about this ownership and the project itself.
Yeah, I, I I don't understand how anybody can see it in any other way. He has no excuse. He actually has no excuse because he's the current owner. On the other hand, people should just lay off these players, these footballing legends. This is not putting themselves above the club. I've heard some people say this is an indication that they put themselves above the club. No, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Ultimately, the game against Genoa, the actual footballing game itself, was rancid, an absolutely rancid, stinking game. You know, il pesce puzza dalla testa. The fish stinks from the head. And that's what that game really represented. And Cardinale not turning up was quite something. So let's move from there. Can you see this slide?
Yeah, I can.
Right.
Lazio
So
Parigi.
yeah, so a few days later, they have this evening gala event. It was held at the Palazzo Parigi, and this is where all these players. So we got pictures of, the three Dutchmen, and then we've got a picture of Pato turning up, and Fonseca turning up with his wife, and there were fans there. Ultras were there standing outside. But when Fonseca ended up and his wife was there, they did not scream at him abuse out of respect for her. So that's actually a great move. And I'll give Fonseca kudos. He faced people, he got out of the car and walked through that front entrance, right? Like a man. On the other side, I should say, Moncada, Furlani, and Ibrahimovic didn't want to hear any abuse because they know they would have got absolutely hammered by the ultras that had turned up. And so they came in through the side entrance like the cowards that they are. I think they might need to be coming in through the side entrance in a lot of events. In fact, they might need to be wearing masks from now on because the club is not moving in a good direction. And everybody is finally waking up to the fact that Cardinale has just literally given these three carte blanche to carry on behaving, and they are ruining everything. That's what's leading to this just turgid football that we're seeing week in, week out. It's because the sporting side has been allowed to rot. So these three came in through the side entrance like the cowards that they are. And again, actions speak very, very loud. They are not men enough to stand up to these fans and take the abuse. And I tell you something, I bet you that if they had turned up with their partners or whatever and families, they would have been given at least the respect of not being abused as such if they'd walked through the front entrance. Now, think about the optics of coming in through the side entrance for these three morons. It's terrible, isn't it, Nico? And I'll tell you something. Jerry would probably have been pelted with tomatoes if he had turned up. Right,
Maybe worse.
maybe worse. And these are some of the banners that are translated. Incapable directors, a club without ambition, you are not up to the level of our history. Players without desire and dignity, you are the mirror of this ownership. The next one is we are not Americans. This was taken, I believe, out of context. I really do. I think its vitriol is abusive and it sounds kind of crude. Well, they are the Curva Sud at the end of the day. They are going to be pretty crude in the way they say it. But me personally, this isn't something against all Americans. I think this is something against this particular moronic ownership and saying You can't run the club this way. And then Cardinale, you have to sell, 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 go away, go away. This ownership doesn't deserve us. Now, I've said it before. You know my stance. I don't support the Curva Sud, but you know, at least they're coming out and saying something. I just seriously hope that they stay the course because we're just at the beginning of this war, and it is a war. It's now become a war between, in my opinion, between the fans and ownership and management. We have to force this to change.
And unfortunately, at that point, John,
Yeah,
you saw what he says. He said, "Sell, sell, sell." And
yeah,
what happened? Do you think Jerry listens? Jerry could care less. What he ends up doing, we'll get to that bit, but he's staying for at least another 4 years. So he could care
yes.
less about what we have to say, what the Curva has to say. He's going to do what he does.
That's right, and I mean, so your point is great because it leads us to let's take Fahadinho's comment. Let me add to your point. We as fans fell in love with Milan due to Milan's legends. Absolutely, I agree. Milan without its legends is just another club. In fact, the number of legends that we have, the constellation of legends that we have, is quite unique compared to most clubs. Maybe Real Madrid can stand up to us, but the huge constellation of legends we have is what's made our history. So Fahadinho, right on. Absolutely agree with your point on that. Okay, so then we get this news, and I think this news broke out yesterday, and I'll just translate it straight. So give credit to the Corriere dello Sport, that's where I've taken this from. So it says agreement between Cardinale and Singer on the vendor loan. The deadline has been moved from August 2025 to July 2028. Now, the loan has been reduced to 489 million. Scaroni basically said, "Yeah, we have signed to a long-term agreement." Okay. Then Redbird has basically paid an additional 170 million euros, which has reduced the loan to 489 million overall. Just want to make it clear the vendor loan was at 550 million, and by August, with all interest, if they had not made this move, Nico, they would have had to have paid a total of 693 million. Right? So 489 million is the figure with an expiry date fixed to July 2028. Scaroni, I just think he should not open his mouth anymore. He says, in the course of the last few years, the financial position of AC Milan has constantly grown and reinforced under Redbird's leadership. And they're here for the long term. This is significant work to guarantee the stability of our iconic club, positioning it for a successful operations of sustainable and to grow our heritage, tradition, and the values of the Rossoneri.
Get the fuck out of here.
There you go, Nico. And that's
Oh,
why I felt it was important to read this so people could hear.
lad, by the way, Husney's here as well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Let him in,
Hello,
and
sorry, mate.
no worries at all. So, Nico, that was the last bit. You can stop the share.
All right, give me a second. Hold
Yeah.
on. There we go. Bam.
Oh dear, someone is upset. Bless. No problem at all, Nico. So, Hasni, listen, you know something? Through all of this, I've had the opportunity to speak. Nico's had the opportunity to speak. Shane has done a great video. Let's hear it from you, Hasni, because I've wanted to hear, the founder of Milanista 360. Uh, Tell us, what's your take on all of this?
Yeah, about the how things are with the financing. One of the things I want to draw everyone's attention towards is that if everyone recalls, since I would say early this year or maybe even late last year, there was a lot of talk about Redbird, they needed new investors. So you can tell that they're looking for always a better deal on the financing side. So I've had a little bit of time to think about this, because if you see that they've just gone back to Elliott essentially to renegotiate that loan,
Yeah.
I am curious about what happened to all their uh, trips, their meetings. Apparently, PIF was supposed to be involved somehow. I didn't know if InvestCorp was also coming back in another way. All that, and everyone can see that it's actually gone to nothing. So if you ask me whether they are truly successful on the business side, I think they're also struggling there. I wouldn't go so far as to say is that, yeah, they've at least got one thing, their hand on one thing that they can do quite well. So, yeah, it's probably going to be another shambles. And, what I do foresee is that maybe this is the tactic for them to actually try to buy time to actually quite possibly offload the club, as some reports have actually said. But we can only, as fans, hope, because then we can ideally bring in a owner that is quite focused on the results, and not just have, essentially, like you in a way put it, John. According to the article, it sounds more like just Jerry surrounding himself with an army of yes men, and when things go bad, yeah, he just doesn't show up. Right, doesn't have to take the flak for it.
Mm.
So as fans, this is the situation that we're in.
So, what was your opinion on the whole 125th celebration evening? Did you watch it? Did you? What did you think about the people there, the people not there, Cardinale not being there? What was your view on all of that? Because I know you were busy with work, so I'm curious to know your opinion on this.
Yeah, I thought not only about the 125th anniversary, but I don't know if you guys remember the 120th anniversary match. They didn't have a special jersey for that 120th year. It was actually the home jersey, if not mistaken, but just that the lettering was in gold. If I'm not mistaken, I think Gio from MWP, and also member of our chat, has that 120th year jersey. And I don't know if everyone on this channel remembers. We also drew that game, by the way.
Oh, right.
I don't remember who it was against, but the 120th we also drew. I remember because there's this image in my mind with Benacer wearing that jersey, and I thought, like, how can we not have won that game? But 5 years later, here we are again, 125th year, can't pull it off. But you can tell the difference, yeah? So 5 years ago, in terms of where we were up and coming, we struggled as well, but we didn't need any flashiness for the 120th year. So coming up to the 125th year, you can tell the marketing team is really working in overtime for this, trying to sell the jerseys. I don't know, John, if you bought, if you actually owned
I
yours.
didn't,
I
but
haven't.
I'll tell you, I do own a cap that's from their 120th anniversary. I do own a cap from that, but on the 125th, I don't. And I've got to say, I went a trip to Milan. I didn't buy the jersey because it came out later. If it had been there, I might have, if I'm honest. But I have not. I've stayed away. And actually, I have not now bought anything. There is another cap I'm looking at closely, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing this. Uh,
Maybe
no.
not yet.
He'll break. Lab's gonna break eventually.
Yeah, you're right, Nico. It's
So
matter of
listen,
time.
I can't break. Even I wanted to. Just how expensive it is to get things shipped over to Mexico.
Yeah, that's an issue, man.
Plus shipping, plus through customs. That's a whole different story. You may or may not get it. It might be held up in customs for 30 days. It's not worth it.
But that leads to one point, Nico. And I was traveling a bit over the past week, and I took the opportunity actually to go to Puma stores.
Mm.
So for those who are watching and are not aware, there is a large Milan fan base in Indonesia, and I saw it a few times. Indonesians walking around with the AC Milan jersey. So I know that's true, and I've been following their group. But if you go to the Puma store, it is not easy to find a store that has the gear.
100%.
So this again is a message that and I've said it before over several years now. If they want to make money, what is the approach to getting it to the fans? I mean, okay, you can have an opinion saying that you don't want to buy the merch, you don't want to support Jerry, fine. But being able to actually see the jerseys being sold, that is a completely different story. I mean, it might be overpriced, I mean, what be it, but at least being visible, because most of the time, I don't know about you, Nico, in Mexico, do you see the Manchester City jersey being displayed very
In
openly?
Mexico, no, you see a lot of you see some Milan jerseys flying, like some people wearing Milan jerseys here, because there's a big club in Mexico City, big fan club. And there's a lot of foreigners here as well. There's a lot of Italians that live in Playa and Cancun and Tulum, so you do see that. But in terms of the Puma store as well, there's a Puma store in Cancun. There's a big one. You're lucky if you find a shirt from a Milan shirt, or even a pair of socks.
Mm, yeah.
It's tough. So honestly, the last time I just picked up anything from Milan was from eBay. I picked up a cap that I'm waiting on.
Yeah,
That's it.
very well said. And just come back to your question, John, about the what I thought about
Yes.
125th year. Yes, they want to put the marketing spin. Yes, they want to make money. They want to show that everything is, I don't know what is the right term, hunky dory, or everything is great. But it's not. Real fans that are watching the game, following it, and not casually tuning in once in a while, know that there's something that's wrong. So other than it being a money grab, I'm quite disappointed that we've also had to deal with issues off the pitch. But ultimately, if we are successful on the pitch, you know, you can spin it a number of ways, but Jerry will be and his team will be proven right as long as there's success on the pitch, and that is really lacking. I mean, come on, what we're eighth place?
Seventh now, but
We
yeah.
may be yeah, we may be lucky to make it to Europa, by the way, because other teams, yeah, I know there's still a number of games to play, but other teams are not letting up.
Well, I think any team that actually can attack will smash through us. Um, so what I'm hello Fahadinho,
Left,
welcome
yeah,
sir.
Hi,
full
Fadino.
house.
Uh, oh, I love that avatar. Look at that. That is the Fahadinho avatar, the famous one. um, can I just read something out from Art because Dr. Art gave us the realistic Milanista gave us a really insightful comment here, and I think I should read it out. Right. Right. His question is, where is Milan heading under Redbird Capital? What does the future hold for Milan until 2028? Now, tell me if you agree with any of these points. First, the squad has not improved. Milan is not closer to winning any title. The club is even behind Redbird's low standards. Milan has several players to sell, yet there seems to be a lack of ambition in acquiring world class talent. Rivals are ahead of us on all fronts. There is little reason for optimism regarding the stadium situation. The identity of the club has been significantly shaken, both on and off the field. Fans are divided, players appear unmotivated, and there is minimal connection between the club and the fan base. There is nothing for a new generation of Milan or Italy fans to admire about the club. There are no champion developments, no Italian projects, and no ambition on the European stage. I would be amazed, he says, if any club in the top 20 European clubs could survive in such a state, both on and off the pitch, especially considering the influx of investment into competing clubs. Now, you tell me if any of that is wrong. I think it's absolutely spot on. I don't believe we're any better than we were in the Scudetto season. I think in the 2 years since Redbirds come in, we've been degraded. That's my opinion. But I completely agree
Yeah,
with what
Lad,
Art.
real quick, and we'll get Fadinho. And it's crazy, which I've seen some people actually compare and think this current squad is better than the Scudetto team,
Oh my god.
which is just look where we are. Some people say we should be playing. We don't deserve being in seventh place. We deserve being in seventh place right now.
Well, you are where you deserve to be. What the hell?
Exactly. Yeah.
What?
You
We're
know.
living in a hypothetical world.
And the worst part, it guy and Husney Lab and Fadin, tell me if you agree with this. We're starting to take our team is starting to take on the characteristics of the coach. He complains about the refs consistently. But what do you see yesterday? How many times are we complaining about calls left and right?
Yeah.
Because you take on from your leader from the top. If your leader's showing a certain behavior, certain characteristics, instinctively you start adapting them as well. And that's where we are right now, which is even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
My thoughts on that, Nico. Yeah, you're right. Ultimately, not just players, but any employee of any organization or member of organization tends to emulate a lot of what their leadership goes by. And let's start at near the top. I wouldn't say the very top, but near the top. And that is Ibra. Ibra has never admitted to being wrong at all, regardless of whatever happens. And this is where I think a lot of it seeps in about, oh, there's always someone else to blame. But looking inward, and as we've said many times on this channel, the moves that we're making off the pitch and also on the pitch is very revealing. I mean, none of us really know truly what's behind closed doors, but we can see it on the pitch. How they're playing, where the green, if any, is there, the players that have been chosen. I mean, just putting one instance from that game, the recent game, you saw that pass from Chukwueze that almost led to the
Yeah, I
goal.
was talking about it before.
I saw a comment. Yeah, I saw a comment on Instagram. Someone made a comment saying that it's moments like that make you miss Samu Casilero.
Way, hey, come on.
Really, it's moments like that. So, what a mess! What a mess! That's all I can say.
Right. Well, Fahadinho, you have the floor. I know you're a massively passionate fan, and we wanted to give you the floor. We wanted to give you time to speak and tell us what your opinion is on the current situation. And can we do something, guys? Now that we know that Cardinale and Redbird have signed a deal until 2028, yeah? Can we start to have a bit of your opinion on what you want to happen short term? I would say January transfer window. Medium term, let's talk about summer transfer window. Long term, next 2026 and beyond. How about that? Can we have a little bit of a think about that? Look at Nico's like gonna explode. But Fahadinho, please, you have the floor. You there, sir?
Yeah, I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either. Has he got technical issues?
Make sure he's not muted. I don't see any volume for him, which is curious. His camera's on, but there's no
volume control.
No volume control.
Okay. Well, maybe he's got technical issues. How about, who do you want to start on the short, medium, and long term? Anybody got any bright
Husney, you want to take it away first? Husney.
Sorry, I didn't get that. The short, medium, long.
So think about what you'd like to see now that you know Cardinale is here till 2028. What do you want to see in January? What do you want to see in the summer? That's the medium term. And what do you want to see beyond 2025? That's the long term.
Okay. In the short term, I don't think it's controversial anymore. We need a new coach.
Okay.
Do you recall that back in the summer, many people were saying, and of course I don't blame them, yeah, it's very prudent to try to give someone a little bit of time. By the majority of any metric that you want to apply to a coach, we've passed that.
Yeah.
He's managed enough games, we've seen enough of his performances to know that this is not the right guy. And what's worse, the players either don't respect him, don't trust him, hate him, have an agenda. I don't care anymore, yeah? But he's just not the right guy. He should be the first thing in the short term to leave. In the medium term, I hate to say this because it's a recurring theme. I don't know why it's a recurring theme. We need to fix our defense. Our defense and how we do things, I don't know why we're conceding so many goals, especially early on in the season. That just can't continue. Then in the long term, a lot of wishful thinking. Can someone with a few billion just take this club off Redbird?
Okay.
I know that it's they're probably waiting to get a better deal. I mean, I guess if the club does worse, then there we just have to sell it cheaper. Maybe that's the angle, but that's what I wish for the long term, and I hope that even for the long term is before we finalize the stadium deal. I'm starting to see a lot of this. Okay, let's do this stadium again with Inter. Why? Wasn't that one of the few things that Cardinale had going for him to say that okay, he doesn't need any other
Ah,
involvement other than all the bureaucracy and all that. But we seem to be tied again with Inter. I don't know why.
I know why, but I'll tell you in a minute. I'll speak in a minute.
Okay, sure.
Nico, do you
Yeah,
want to go
those are
next? I'll
my
go last.
thoughts.
Yeah. Thanks, Lab. So short term, obviously, coach needs to be replaced.
So you
we've
get rid of him
seen-
in January, Nico.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Look, but the name bringing in Xavi is not the answer.
he's for the women's
Xavi,
team.
listen, Xavi, he requires really technical midfielders to play that Barca system, that Cruyff type of football. We don't have him. He had Pedri, he had Gavi, he had De Jong playing for him. All right, we have on a good day we have two good midfielders. On most days we have one, Tijani, when Fofana is not consistent. So we can't play that type of football like Barca does because those kids been playing that type of football since they were kids in the academy. So I don't want to hear Xavi's name. Bring in an Italian coach because Italians win Serie A, bar none. Okay, that's the first thing. Medium, get rid of Ibra, Moncada, Furlani, everybody
Yeah.
under Jerry. But is
So
that
you
going
do
to
it in the
happen?
summer.
Yeah, that's not. I don't see it happening realistically at all.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is what Husney had said about the defense, and I've spoken about. I'm not going to get too much into it. It's most of the defensive stuff. So Fonseca has an assistant coach. There's a guy for Ferreira who coached with him at Lille.
Okay.
He does the defensive stuff. He's responsible for defensive tactics, teaching the players how to defend. But where we're seeing on the field, it's just not individual mistakes. It's tactical mistakes as well. All right. So the first thing he could fix is some of the individual mistakes. He's not fixing it. They're not correcting it all. They're making the same mistakes again and again and again and again, individually and then tactically. So either bring a new coach or change what the hell you're doing. Really hone in on your defensive things during the week, during training sessions. All right. In terms of the stadium, we already spoke about that before. It looks like, according to Scaroni, and I believe him as much as he should keep his mouth shut. He's one of the few people that speaks the truth about what's happening with the club. And he said it. We're not doing San Donato. We're going to stay at San Siro, which most likely means we're building a stadium with the Snakes.
Yeah.
And long term is getting new ownership. Hopefully somebody, some rich, super wealthy Malaysian family comes in. I could care who it
A
is.
Malaysian family. That's what we need. The Husneys.
All right. Or a matter of fact, crazy as it sounds, like get Red Bull. If Red Bull could come in and promise not to rename it to Red Bull FC or some other crazy shit and honor their name.
Red and Black Bull.
How about that?
Yeah. As long as they don't, Red Bull energy drinks, whatever. If they keep the name to Milan and they can, because they got the money, because they're looking to buy Torino. I take
Torino makes sense though, doesn't it? Torino makes perfect marketing sense, Nico. Red Bull, isn't it? Oh my God, perfect.
Exactly. But Red Bull, the one thing they do have is they have a way of playing football. They have a system of play, which is you see it throughout all their teams. They have a DNA. So that's my long term, and see more youth players as well. It's seeing Liberali, the other Kamada get more minutes and become starters on the team.
Yeah.
Nico, can I ask you? And while you're speaking, I just had a glance at the French league. De Zerbi is actually doing not bad.
Yeah,
in France.
He is good. He's doing well. Yeah, he's performing all right.
Yeah. If someone like him came immediately, I mean, could you expect immediate results?
No, because he plays like if you think Fonseca plays really positional football, De Zerbi plays it to the extreme. Like he requires players to make certain, like he choreographs the buildup. He wants players to. It's like these are your options. You either go here or here. He doesn't give his players a lot of freedom, so that's going to take more time, dude. They took, according to what Leal, they said we're finally understanding
Oh
Fonseca's
my god,
now
that
after how
comment.
many months, and it's not that complicated what he's trying to do. It's basic football. Nothing like fucking extraordinary football. The Zerbi, imagine him coming in. How long that's going to take for the players to realize what he wants to play.
Yeah.
I just want a coach that comes in. Shit, at this point, give me Allegri. I know it's boring football, but at least we'll,
Wow, dude, standards
yeah,
have dropped.
exactly. That's how bad it's become. Who's? Oh,
Okay, that's fine.
Fadini just left us a message. I denied the
It's kinda
camera and the
sober.
mic in the beginning. Okay, so Fadini's gonna try to rejoin us.
He's gonna
Possibly, I
try.
think.
It's fine.
Okay.
So I'll read out Art's comment, which is his short, immediate, and long-term expectations are the same. Sell the club. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. So, right, this is where I stand. Right, I'm looking at this. We've got to admit it. For a long time, all of the press said the most likely outcome will be that Jerry will renew his vendor loan. He will extend it. We knew that that was the most likely thing to happen. Of course, as a fan base, we wished that Jerry would find somebody to buy the club. Short term, we need to get rid of Fonseca. You've just mentioned it, Nico. Leao is Portuguese. He actually speaks the same language as Fonseca because I can tell you now, Fonseca's Italian is degrading away into nothingness. And if Leao can understand him the best, and he's saying in December, we're just starting to understand what he wants us to do, that's very scary. I don't want him. Everything that was promised to us that Fonseca would deliver, the integration of the youth and so on, has not happened. So I want a new coach. I want a coach that's honestly and actively going to integrate this youth. Now, let's have a word about the Futuro team. The Futuro team, we've now had a really good look into them, and the record has not improved much. They're still lingering at the near the bottom of the entire table. But you know what we have seen? We have seen that there are players in there that when you pluck them out of that disastrous situation under that disastrous system and you try and integrate them, like Jimenez, they start to show something. I believe that there are more players that could contribute if integrated properly. And I mean by that Zeroli, and I mean Liberali, and of course I mean Camarda. We can't keep relying on what we have in terms of Milanismo and excitement. It just won't work for the long term. So for the short term, let's get rid of the coach. Let's bring in a coach. I don't care who it is. I would prefer them to be Italian because I think history speaks for itself regarding success in Serie A. I prefer them to also be an Italian who's got a little bit of vision regarding youth integration. As a fan, and I've said this in the chat and I've openly said this, I would support Milan. I would pay to watch the matches. I would pay even for that jersey if I felt that my identity was in that club again. That's what's missing in this club. So step one is return the identity. I don't think for 1 minute that that identity will disappear, has disappeared just because of Jerry. It's disappeared because of the people. He has basically said the sporting side is not important. When for me, the sporting side is the most important thing about AC Milan. I don't give a shit about the marketing side of things at all. Um, by the way, guys, no one has mentioned this. Of that 170 million that they've paid off, how much do you think came from selling all those shirts like hotcakes? I think those shirts probably pushed that number over the edge to enable them to do this payment. I'm not kidding you guys. That's what I believe. They've used the marketing side.
Don't forget the books.
Ah, God. I hope they sold none of that book. Horrendous.
I should have bought some just to use it as toilet paper.
Oh, right out of my mouth, man. You took that right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. So when I think about that, I then think, okay, so short term, do that. Have someone that will integrate youth, give me some hope back, bring some Milanismo back. I will start to follow the game the game's live again, I'll pay for that, and so on. Medium term, I am with you, Nico. Get rid of every single one of those snakes, every single one of those scummy Interisti who are sitting there. I call Moncada as an Interista as far as I'm concerned. Ibrahimovic is an Interista as far as journeyman supremo who sells himself as the perfect human being, makes no, as you said, Husney, has he ever admitted mistakes in what he's done? He's literally, right now, he's behaving as if he's working for Inter. I've said it. It's on record. I want him out. I hate him, and I mean remove everyone even from the Futuro squad, from the Futuro system, because that's a mistake. It's a huge mistake what they've done there. So if you do that and you bring people in who know about the footballing side of things, I think you will restore a lot of the faith back into the club, and people will come back despite Redbird being there. And now the long term. The long term is this. Anyone that does a studied business, anyone that knows anything about business, understands exactly what's going on in this situation, guys. All he has said right now is that he wants to keep the lights on as owner. That's why he has done what he has done. His objective is not anything to do with heritage. It's got nothing to do with history. It's all to do with cold hard cash. What he wants is to be able to sell for profit. That's what he's looking for, and he's trying to understand how to achieve that. Okay. The moment anybody comes in and makes him an offer that will give him the X multiplier that he's looking for, then he will sell the club. Okay? That's what you need to happen. So don't think that Cardinale is definitely there till 2028. That isn't his objective. His objective is make the value proposition high enough so that someone will come in and he gets his profit and steps out. That's literally all he's looking to do. And anybody that knows about business will understand that that is exactly what he's up to. Now, on the stadium situation, Husney, why is he not going to San Donato and building his own? Pretty simple, because it costs money. It costs more money. And this is something that I've only heard one podcast mention, and it's in Italy. He has just paid out 170 million. That is money that's come out of Redbird Capital, right? It's come out of the club. The next problem is if he goes ahead with the stadium, that will be a minimum of another 180 million that he has to share with Inter Milan. So if you guys think for 1 minute that there's going to be long-term investment in big players, keep dreaming. That isn't what's going to happen. We have been set back 2 years by this ownership, and their continued stay at the club in the way that they're spending their money to try and just raise the potential value of the asset will strip any sporting ambition. I that's why I think the most realistic answer is this. You don't have to be a multi-billionaire to turn this ship back around and start to make sense. What you need is to just put people that know what they're doing and use that youth squad. Use them, integrate them. You bring back all the Milanismo, you raise the value of the players, you then start to be able to get rid of some of this dead wood, potentially valuable players that are there, and you start to have a project that resembles something exciting that everyone will get behind. So there is plenty of hope there, guys. That's where I'm trying to finish in a positive way. There's plenty of hope there because I do believe that there is a way out of this, even with Jerry staying there. If
Uh,
nothing changes in management in the summer, that is a nail in our coffin. That's the truth, in my opinion.
yeah, John. I just want to add on. You're right. Things can actually improve. I mean, there's always a chance that it can get better, but as I did mention, is that we have people at the top there that deny things are not great or not good or even bad. So when you have that sort of a mindset at the top that say, "Oh, everything is fine," Everything's going according to plan. Well, plan that is anyone's guess. The problem just compounds itself. So yeah, I mean, it's just this yes man, Ibra. I I think that based on what, and maybe this has been spoken about to death already, what has been said about the mistakes that Maldini made, because yeah, everyone can see for themselves. Maldini, Masara, Moncada, maybe to a certain extent, I don't know, but or even Gazidis, they made mistakes before, yeah. So we've had drama at the club before, but there was always that sense that okay, if there's a mistake, they knew how to correct it, or they were working towards correcting it. So what was the mistake? Let's dial it all the way back when Gianpaolo was around. Maybe when Gianpaolo was around, if you ask me, that I had the same feeling then as I'm having now. But what happened? They pulled the plug on Gianpaolo. Gianpaolo's not the right guy. We need to bring in someone interim. Brought in Pioli. A lot of people were against that, and still a lot of negativity about the club. But when Pioli started, wasn't that great. But then COVID hit, and then all of a sudden, like, hey, we're actually not in a bad place. So it came from fixing things to having a system at that time. Then we had the 4-2-3-1. We built into the system, and we charged all the way from Europa to Champions League to the Scudetto, and then we started again with Redbird. So, but that what I'm saying is that all that stems from the fact is that someone at the top or at the management level acknowledged they've made a mistake. Let's fix it.
Mhm.
Now we're never going to get there because at the top they always think they're right, and this is the problem that I have.
And do we really think? And my point on this, my feeling is, what has Jerry shown to us that he has the ability or the confidence that he's built in the fan base? He's going to do anything different.
No, he's not.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because he's you were talking about replacing how many different people. You're talking about if he really wants to clean house and get rid of the people that work for him, he's got to hit that reset button again and find new people. And
Yeah.
honestly, who in Italy? I hate to say it, but who's going to want to work with him? Not many people.
Yeah.
Especially knowing if they knew he was going to keep his hands off the project and say, you know what? Okay, here's the money. I trust you. Do what you want. But the circus, that the so much controversy, so many, just the drama with the club. Which experienced sporting director or scout, whatever the case may be, would want to come into this project currently to work for Milan under Jerry and take that risk?
You can find them, Nico, but they're only going to be yes men. The people that they're going to be able to find are only going to be yes men, just like Fonseca. Absolute yes man.
No successful business can run when somebody's surrounded by yes men. That's a recipe for disaster. You want the exact opposite of yes men. You want people that challenge you and give you different opinions. That's how successful businesses are built. It isn't by having yes men around you. I mean, this is your point as well. The club is this because he is surrounded by yes men. So you can't keep with that approach. I mean, Jerry, come on. At the end of the day, Jerry has a large portfolio of companies. He knows this. It's like lesson 1 of business school. Surround yourself with people that are talented and better than you. You can't be surrounded by yes people. Nico, I mean, as you said, historically, by what they've done over the last 2 years, we have to say that none of this hope will come true. But what are we? We're fans at the end of the day, right? We want things to get better because I can tell you now, I can't watch this for another 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is. This situation, the status quo cannot remain for the next 3 years. No, the stadiums will be empty by then.
We'll have to watch the games intoxicated just to get through them.
Have to do something.
Self-medicate at that point.
Oh, I'm just going to refer to a comment here. So Ricardo16, stop repeating British media BS about shirt sale. So that's an interesting point you make here. So first of all, Ricardo's, I don't care about the British media. You might think I do because of my accent. I really, really don't. So I don't get my information from British media. I think everyone on this channel knows I don't get my information from British media. If you want to get biased British media information, there's another channel. There's another YouTube channel that follows Milan that you can go and get. So please don't label me as that, number one. Then the other thing is, that was my opinion about this shirt sales, which I'm completely entitled to do. Just like you're entitled to say that Puma already have 30 millions, whatever. We can look into that and say if that is correct, that's correct. Good. You've corrected me on that, and I will accept it. No problem whatsoever. But at the moment, the club is being kept alive by the marketing side. There's no way that anybody can argue against that. It is not being kept alive by the footballing side. These guys are desperate for Milan to make it through to the next round of the Champions League because they need the revenues. These guys are desperate for Milan to somehow finish in the top four of Serie A because the shit will hit the fan if they don't. That's just an undeniable fact. And if you've just paid 170 million for this vendor loan extension and you're going to need more for a stadium decision, where's the money going to come from? Your ass? Maybe.
It's possible.
Yeah. So I've got no problem. If somebody turns around and says, actually, the shirt sales make no money whatsoever. But one thing I'll say, don't label me as British media. I'm definitely not. That's quite hilarious, actually, to hear that. Yeah, guys. So is Fahadinho he's having too many technical issues. He can't
Yeah,
get on.
he tried a couple different times. He just, I don't know what's going on with Fardinho.
We might, Fahadinho, listen, we want to give you your platform. So we might even record something just with you, and let you have your say. Because you've joined our group recently and you're one of the most passionate people and you've got a lot to share. And we definitely want to hear your opinion on things. We just like today, we wanted to hear everyone's opinion on the club. That's what we're about. You didn't mess up, Fardinho. Don't worry, dude. We'll figure out next time.
John, I just want to say something about the Champions League and the money. I just did a search in terms for last season. We did have a review in terms of the winnings from Champions League.
Okay.
So for each match won in this league phase, the club is getting 2.1 million for each win. Then for the next round, they're getting an additional 1 million, and this is where it's quite a what I meant, 1 million for reaching the playoff, which we may be there.
Right.
But the round of 16, they get 11 million. It's quite a big sum of money, and that, keep in mind is that is purely from UEFA. Keep in mind that there's that stadium revenue. I think they're charging an arm and a leg for a ticket. All that merch sale at the stadium. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's now the direction that Jerry's setting is that keep it at a Champions League, see how far we can go, make that money. Yeah, that's the only way to look at it, because yeah, you're right. The league is pretty much is gone for us.
Oh, forget the league.
We still got Copa.
We do. I mean, all the big clubs have gone through, haven't they, Nico? So I still think we're going to get caught out. There's no evidence. Again, the evidence, all the data speaks for itself. The moment we go up against a stress point, we will lose. Sugar. Just saw from Chris Pasmino that Leao's going to have an MRI on the injury in a week's time. Oof.
That's a big miss, too. If he's out for a long period of time, we can't depend. Who could depend on? Okafor is hurt, too. He's out.
Yeah. Well, he might put Jimenez on the left side again.
He's in your left winger right there.
And Theo Jimenez. But But yeah,
I,
so that,
I, I would actually prefer Theo up top a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. For France, he plays in the 3-4-3,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, because Theo was more attack minded, anyways. Put him up top, see what he can do. He can't. He doesn't want to defend anymore, anyways. Most
well,
of the time.
he can cross, he can shoot.
Yeah,
He's got the talent. And if Jimenez is, in your opinion, better defensively somehow,
what he's showing so far. Yeah,
yeah,
Can someone tell me, does Florenzi still exist? Is he still alive?
I think he got massive injury.
I haven't heard anything about him, and I know Fonseca hates the shit out of him. But is this the reason why he's just
last time I checked,
been like
he's still
very?
out with his injury, whatever was going on with him. No up.
Is it at this point? Is it mental injury? Is it mental?
Yeah, I think so.
The annoying thing is though, when he was fit and playing, he was good. He was actually decent. And he has a shot on him, that guy as well. He's got bullet of a shot. It's a shame, really. Just came in as slightly kind of end of his career, really. Bit too late. Yeah. What's your eyes?
jokingly,
Yeah.
guys. You know what? I would bring in the whoever the for sporting director, whoever the champ is for FM 24 for Football Manager. Whoever the best football manager player is in the world, bring him on. Why not? That's Moneyball right there. Have him run the whole program.
Yeah.
Listen, that's not like that guy Will Still. There's a coach real quick that was coaching in France, I think. Will Still, his name is. He started the way he got his experience as a coach. Besides getting his UEFA, well, he didn't have his UEFA A license either when he was coaching in France. That team was getting fined every time he was coaching the team. But he learned most of the basic stuff from playing Football Manager. That guy, not from coaching seminars, not from reading, not from watching the game, not from playing the game, but from playing Football Manager 24 or 23, whatever the hell it was. So just quick fun fact.
Okay. I don't know what to say about that.
What I'm saying is, if we're gonna go
Manager.
if we're gonna go Moneyball, that's the move right there.
Maybe.
You know what's funny about that, Nico, is that when someone has an idea, there will be a segment of fans that say, "Oh, this is not Football Manager. You can't do that." But at the same time, there's also that perspective that we should embrace these ideas, right?
1000%. Oh, you're right. Oh, Fadinho, yeah, Fadinho's still on Breda as sporting director.
He loves that, doesn't he? He's been pushing that.
That's his main guy right there.
I just don't think Breda would work with this management. This is the problem.
Hey, quick thing, guys. Yeah, sorry, Husney. Ricardus16 said Benny's back in training. So let's touch on that for a second. Being that we don't have enough midfielders. We're really, lacking that, to the point where I played Terrashano yesterday. What are your thoughts on Benny? Do you think he's going to come back fit? Or do you think he's going to be out with another injury by next year?
So isn't this his second consecutive really serious injury?
Yes.
Right. So unfortunately, history says no. He's either going to be protecting it, really protecting it. First of all, don't rush him back. But also the way he plays, he really does a lot of. I mean, Benny, more than probably anybody I've watched on the pitch, he just like accelerates really quickly and then stops really abruptly. It's just he tackles really hard as well. So I think, unfortunately, I don't think he will come back to anywhere near his level, Nico. Yeah, I mean, as a body, he might be better than some of the people we're putting in. But yeah, I've always liked him when he was African Player of the Year. When he first joined, he looked really, really special. But I don't know if he can. I genuinely don't know if he can work at the style of play that he used to play at. He might need to change the way he does things. to prevent himself from getting such massive injuries.
How about you, Hosni?
Um, yeah, I'm a little bit indifferent. It doesn't really matter. We've somehow managed to move along without Benacer. So him coming back, I guess it's right that we have just another option midfield. But what I am more irritated about is the fact that we also sell our midfielders. And do you remember this that Futuro kid Fox, I think, right?
Mhm.
Voss, yeah, yeah.
There was a there was a moment where he was hyped up quite a bit. I don't know what's happening with that. And this is leading up to my question that I want to ask you guys is that do we still need to continue with the Futuro if it's
Ah,
really being
ah,
making our
wow,
players worse
that's a
off?
great question. Okay. I'll tell you something. Nico, do you mind if I tell you about
Yeah,
Scaroni
go
for a
ahead.
minute?
Go
So
ahead, lad.
Scaroni did an interview with this someone from the Serie A, and he said that the Futuro project was a real gamble. Setting up the project was a real gamble financially for the club, and he says that sometimes people make hasty decisions because they see results that are not coming immediately. But he says the club really believes in it, and so they will keep pushing it. So that's interesting that Scaroni, mentioned this because he knows that people are looking at Futuro and saying it's a disaster. So he's fully aware of it, right? But his comment was, it's a financial outlay that we didn't have to make. My opinion is actually that the Futuro is a mistake. That's just my opinion. I think those players would be better off being integrated into the first squad carefully and gradually, as opposed to having to play all together with other youth players because they don't seem capable of coping all together as one unit. Nico?
Just from the beginning, it was done wrong. I mean, ideally, there's a reason for the Futura team is to get those kids ready for that big jump between Primavera and Serie A, right? Especially physically, because in Primavera they're learning the tactical point of the game, the formation that the Serie A team uses, things like that. And to bridge that, you do need something in between to get them ready, especially for the physicality of playing professional football. But from the get go, it was done wrong. It was just all jacked up from hiring Bonetta to putting Ibra's best friend, his homeboy there from LA Galaxy, had no business being in that position. Um, so it could be, if it's done right, it's beneficial. But to think, you're trying to get it promoted and you worry about, it's not about being promoting and winning Serie A titles. Who gives a fuck about that? I could care less. Get the kids ready to play, integrate them properly, and that's that. But nothing was done right from the get go, from the jump. So it's just a disaster. Um,
So Nico, sorry, but my point is this, right? Serie C is a men's league, okay?
yeah,
It is therefore, okay, the level is lower, but it is a men's league. The majority of those players are 16, 17-year-olds, and there's no real mixture. Okay, and I don't count, please don't count Balotore, Origi in there or whatever, those other shitholes that are named in the Futuro squads. I just wonder, Nico, is it not a better place for them to be in some kind of other youth league as opposed to all of them together so young against men? What do they gain except for getting beaten up a bit? Zeroli's injured, and getting back. Do you think as a coach it's beneficial to put kids that young when, okay, let's look historically. How many of a Primavera squad would come through to the senior squad? It wouldn't be 11, would it?
no,
It might be one or two. If you're lucky, three. They would actually flourish at the same time. I just personally wonder if this was a misstep, to put them all together like this. I, as you said, it's not about them winning. It really isn't. They're not going to win Serie C. They can't, right? It's just not possible because there's maybe one, two, or three real gems in there. The rest are not going to be gems, and they're 16. So, what's the objective here? Just to expose them, constantly expose them to physicality, in the hope that they get, I don't know, hardy. I don't know what you want to call it.
Well, the other option would be is scratch the whole program, right?
Yeah,
Promote the kids to that deserve that are physically ready to play Serie A ball. Promote them
yeah,
to the first team, make space for them, and integrate them properly, which that wasn't done either.
yeah.
And the
I
and the
think
other kids who are not ready physically, like Liberal, he's not ready physically per se. Maybe talent wise he is.
he's very
And the other
small, isn't he?
kids, yeah, he's small. Keep him in the Primavera, and that's it. That's the other option.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting it up for kind of a discussion because I think the option you've just described is the option that I think makes more sense. Uh, I think there are two or three players at the moment that Camarda is physically ready. There's no question. He has grown into I mean, I can't believe his age. Um, what he needs is exposure to the first squad. He needs good balls being crossed into him. He needs to have players that will back him up. Um, can I just say? Can I just read out tick size? This is an interesting point here. Is it wrong for a Milan fan to pray that the club doesn't reach a Champions League spot? Now that is going to a point that's quite hot in the fan base, which is wanting the team to lose to force change. Um, and some people have said that's an absolute no. I've said it before. I don't know who I was on the call with. Was I with you, Nico, or Shane or Husney? I can't remember, but Shane has made his point clear. He was like, I don't want to beat Verona because it might force Fonseca to be kicked out. Um, what's your opinion on this? I understand it. The fan base just are so desperate for change that they want it to basically say, look, you failed. This management has failed. We need to replace management. What are you on this, Husney?
In my opinion, it's a little broader than that. So similar to the comments about, you know, fans or people wanting the team to lose. We've also had, in my opinion, similar comments about people saying that some competitions aren't important. So when you say a competition is not important, and we should be, for example, focusing on the league or the Champions League, is that also not in the same way? In my opinion, I think yes. Uh, Further to that is that there are some people who actually don't care if we don't win. So I'm looking at also in the shades of gray. So everyone's entitled to their own opinion. If you think that the club is should lose for certain outcomes, then so be it. I mean, is your own opinion. For me, is that I want us to win every game. Yeah, um, I've been consistent on this. Even if we're playing in the car park, we're playing 5-a-side, the Milan team. I want us to win all teams. Yeah, the Primavera, Futuro, the first men's, the ladies team. I always want us to win. But when there's such little faith left in the club, is that you allow all these variations, these gray opinions to enter. And it's not to say that the fans want us to lose and to be in Serie B or Serie C. It's that they just want something better. Say for example, like this is just an analogy, yeah. I want to skip a day of work so I can like take a rest so I can perform better the next day that I'm back. I don't see anything wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you wish the worst for the club, but how about the games that we lose and some fans saying that, oh, I don't care about the result? Is that not the same? I think it is. So, yeah, there's also that segment of fans saying that, oh, I don't care if Inter wins the league.
Wow.
What does that also say? Like, are people supporting another team? So there's always this variation, these shades of gray, if I can call it that, about how fans see the club. I'm okay about it. At the end of the day, it's that, and I've said it in our little group. Yeah, I don't think it's about the club anymore. It's about the fans, how we are coping, how we are together as a little community. So I think that's more important. So yeah, I'm not against people who say that they want us to lose or they don't mind for us to lose. Everyone's started their own opinion. For me, I've always wanted the team to win, but when we lose, yeah, I can understand the reasons why, and I think this is why we have our weekly pods.
Oh my God,
How about
Abdi's
you,
in the
Nico?
chat. Abdi's in the chat, guys. Inter will not win it,
Of
though.
course, Abdi's got to make an appearance.
Forza London. Forza London, man. So, Nico, what's your opinion on this? Please, I want to hear
Listen,
yours.
I'm super competitive, right? Now I want to be the best at my job. I bring that, I teach that same, you know, those same foundations, fundamentals to my daughter as well. All right, to be really competitive. So it goes with the same thing with my teams. I want them to win everything, every game, whatever it is, every competition. But at the same time, just like Husney said, I if other fans have different views and think a different way, so be it. But and I want to stress this. I said it before. I'm going to stress this again. Just because somebody else has a different opinion on the team, if they want them to lose and say, "Oh, I want them to lose against Verona or against Monza," does not make them a fake fan. I know there's been a big divide between the fan base for a lot of different topics over the season. Let's just stop using that term. Nobody's a fake fan. We're open fans for different reasons of the club. We love the club, and it's totally fine. It's cool to have different opinions about the club. All right.
It's completely fine.
So let's stop that nonsense. It's really getting out of hand. We can bantering online is cool and it's fun, but once you start getting into throwing that type of dirt around, that's not cool at all. I disagree with that. So yeah, like I said, I want us to win, but it's fine if other fans have different opinions, especially whatever it is. They want to keep Fonseca. They think Fonseca is the answer, or they want Inter to win.
There's not one fan that thinks that Fonseca is the answer in the universe.
You'd be surprised. Abdi's pretty in the chat. He's Fonseca's number one fan.
I know,
but
okay,
to his credit, he's a young kid. I've spoken to him on a different chat multiple times. The kid, he's consistent with his beliefs. He doesn't change. I mean, slowly he's starting to break, but he is always consistent with his opinions on what he doesn't. He's not going to change on his feelings about Fonseca, about the club. He is consistent, so I'll give him that.
Well, I mean, it's nothing wrong to be hopeful, but I also got to say, listen, tick size, man, I completely understand where you're coming from. You're not saying you want Milan to lose because you hate Milan. You're saying you want Milan to lose because you want change, you want things to improve. For that, there's nothing wrong with it. I will say we beat Verona yesterday. I felt nothing. I felt nothing.
And isn't that sad, by the way?
That's what I'm saying, Nico. That's probably and again, Hasni's point is so great, which is it's about the fan base. It isn't about the club anymore. It's about us kind of saying, how can we move on with this club that we have, some of us, supported for decades and decades and decades? How can we just get through this period of banter era management? I think that's one thing we can all say. It's banter era management. I'm sorry. That's going to be a term I'm going to use from now on. It's not banter era players, it's banter era management.
Which is even worse.
Well, it's removed all sensation that I have, all closeness that I have with the club, and that's something that talking to other fans like Carmelo and others in the chat, it is weird. It's really weird to watch somebody walking around the pitch, scoring a goal for Milan and not feeling anything. Isn't that weird, Nico? Now I'm also like I'm so competitive, dude. When we lose, I feel like shit. But when we win, I feel nothing. So what's going on there? It's just anger, I think, at ownership. That's what I think it is. Um, yeah, I don't think anybody wants Milan to lose for no reason. You're not hating the club; you're hating the ownership, which is a completely different thing. And the fans are just grasping, looking for an answer. Right? We're all grasping, looking for some glimmer of light of how are things going to change. Fahadinho wants Breda. Okay, you want Breda because he will force certain things to happen. That's a great dream to have. I have a dream that Piff is going to come in and just go, you know what? We don't need to build that city, that line city, whatever it's Noom or whatever it's called. We don't need to build that. We need to invest it all. We want to invest 1 trillion in AC Milan. That's what I want them to do.
Listen, I have a dream of being a billionaire, but that's not going to happen either. So
Well, it's just like,
Uh,
yeah.
guys, I just want to dial it back a little bit towards the Futuro because I've been looking it up and many of you know not every team has a how would you put it, youth reserve or backup team in Serie C.
Mm.
I took a look just briefly, and the names that I can pick out is us,
Juve?
Juve, and Atalanta.
does an Inter have one
So
or no? No.
I didn't
Oh,
see
okay.
Inter there. So then a case could be made is that it's actually not crucial to have a youth team or CRC team if you're able to manage it through loans for players with high potential in Serie B, which we've done before. So that's the route that was previously taken. So it's not absolutely crucial. Where I'm looking at it is that if by some, I don't know if it's eventuality at this point or not, is if the team does get relegated, does the plug need to be pulled, regardless of whatever Scaroni says and what some members of management say about giving it time? Because there definitely needs to be the hard stop. It costs money. I'm sure Bonera is not working there for free. So why then do you need to keep a team in a league that's maybe quite close to a Sunday league? I mean, they can come play here if they want.
Interesting question. I think that is a purely financial decision. I think that's how they'll look at it. We are in the relegation spots at the moment, so right now they would go into a playoff for relegation. But I think looking at the points, it's 1 or 2 wins away from getting out. I know it's very close down there. Yeah, Hasni. Honestly, my opinion on this. I'm not entirely convinced that the Futuro thing was a starter to begin with. I understood the concept, but I also said, and I disagree with Ibra's assessment of it, which was there's 16, therefore they're not ready. I think some 16-year-olds are good enough, and they are the gems that you have to integrate. That's basically where I come at from this. Yeah, Nico, I don't know if you want to say anything on that.
I said my piece. I think at the end of the day, this was Ibra's project, but I think they got to pull. Obviously, from a money point of looking at it from a financial point of view, it needs to be cut. It's just dead the project. And hopefully they do the right thing with these kids. If not, we're going to end up losing these kids out to other teams, just like we lost Simic. Because eventually these kids, they're going to see, because they're going to see, because not some 6-year-old kids look at Pua Kurbasi, the center back for Barcelona. He's 16. He's a starting center back and one of the best center backs in the game right now.
Yeah.
Look at Yamal. All right, he's physically ready as well. He's a young kid. He's starting for Barcelona. All right. And from what I know, Barca doesn't have a Futura team,
Yeah.
but they have such a killer academy, one of the best academies ever created in the history of football. They do it the right way. They have their kids ready at that level to make the jump.
I thought a lot of Spanish teams have B teams, though, don't they? They have B squads, don't they?
They
That
have B
play in
squads,
lower
Yeah.
yeah. So
leagues. It's a standard thing for them.
maybe look at what if you're looking to really build a foundation. Look at what teams like they're doing, like Sporting Lisbon. They bring up really good kids from their academies as well.
Yeah.
Try to emulate that into Milan because we're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I swear to God, if we end up losing Liberali, like there's been teams, they're definitely
That's
looking
right.
at them.
That's right.
If we lose Liberali, we lose Kamada, we lose other talented kids again, I'm not going to be happy at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I pose a conspiracy theory
Oh,
here?
here we go.
I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on. I'm going to
Futuro.
put my tinfoil hat on. We're good to
Yeah.
go. All right.
Yeah, put it on. Futuro will be kept running until Ibra can put his son there.
Oh my God! No, come on. Jeez.
If that happens, then you know that shit's rigged.
Yeah. Because I understood the premise for Futuro, as John, you mentioned, but it needed to be kept with the continuity of Primavera of Abate. That's the only way that I saw it to work. Bonera, he's an assistant manager. If he had any credible talent, and he would have gone to another team. He would have maybe started at CRB, worked his way up and all that, like many other coaches do. But simply not good enough. Being purely shadow, and purely wasn't that much of a
You don't want to
genius
be
in
purely
the
shadow
first
in
place, so
anything,
I don't know
mate.
what he's learned.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be shadow in the sun, mate. It's just awful. It's absolutely awful, mate. It's quite interesting few points coming out in the chat here. So Art says, and I know Art, this is your opinion. I know, of course, we chat directly. So he says, I have no issue with Fonseca, John, because he's not responsible. So that's an interesting one. All right, let's just take that one for a minute, okay? That's the same point of view that several fans have, which is Fonseca is almost a victim because he is just a yes man that's been put there, as we've said before. So they don't want to blame Fonseca. He's doing what he can, and he's not Pioli. Right, I'll give you that. He's not Pioli. But what is the evidence that Fonseca is going to do anything that's going to be beneficial to our club? There is none. He has not demonstrated it in any of his time. So fans are saying, okay, Art, agree with you. He isn't at fault for this. He's doing the best he can. I don't disagree with you. But the best he can is not good enough for Milan. I think that's the point here. I think Fahadinho says the same. There you go. He's definitely not the right coach of Milan. The quality is not Milan quality. Now, you might say, as your realistic Milanista self, this is the current Milan quality of 2024. That's a problem. If that's what you think, if you think that Fonseca is the right coach for our current reality, that's a problem. Huge problem. Any comment on that?
He should be coaching MLS. That's where he belongs right now. Or I don't know. Because we shouldn't.
I have
go
an
ahead,
opinion.
Hassan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, about Fonseca, right? I don't want to be saying too many things about him because everyone knew as soon as he was named and confirmed, you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you bring in someone limited, you're gonna get limited results. There's a reason why he was available. There's a reason why he wanted this job. There's a reason why he was in France, right? There's a reason. All these things. There's a reason behind all these things. So when you add all them up, you're gonna get the result. So I'm not gonna beat him up too much. He is what he is. If you want ambition, there are options that are out there. If you don't want ambition, Fonseca's
Yeah.
your man.
Yeah. I can't, no one can disagree with that comment. No one can.
No, but at the
And
same time, Hosni, we were promised this. We all said it. A lot of us said it. We expected him to give these kids more playing time.
yes,
That's where he failed. That's on him.
yeah, we were promised. And again, that's another broken promise. I think at the end of the season, we'll be able to do a special episode on broken promises, and we'll be able to go through a list, guys. I'll tell you. I think Ricardos, you're right. Fons is purely without the player management skill. So this one thing that Pioli had for a couple of seasons was players believed in his crap. He had that man. What do you call it? What do you call it? He had the
Man
yeah,
management,
I
is it?
guess man management skills. He had that for a while before everything turned to poop. Um, but Fonseca is that without it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
There's this comment that I've read before that Fonseca is just purely with hair.
They said they wanted continuity, hasn't he? Didn't
They
they?
got it. They got it.
They got it, man. And Art, honestly, please, on the punishment of players. Listen, dude. This isn't like honestly Leao getting benched, Leao coming back and having one good game or a couple of good games does not give Fonseca. It just means he doesn't have the management skills. By the way, what an man! And I heard this last night on RTV, and I was like nodding so much when someone said, "How many managers have you seen that when things go bad, they almost always point the finger at their players?" You can't do that because that will make those players turn against you. These guys are not, the brightest light bulbs in the box. You know, that you can't turn a lot of these players. They need to be made to feel like they are the greatest things in sliced bread. A lot of them work that simply. That's man management, but also understanding how a particular player responds and then using that is man management. That is what Sir Alex Ferguson did so well in his time. He understood how to. I mean, Mourinho at his peak, he could get players to run through walls for him. That was said by so many players. So that's not what Fonseca is doing. Fonseca is like, we lose. Oh, I work really hard, but these guys don't work really hard. Who says that and expects players to follow them? That's a Art. I get it. You're seeing things, players being benched and so on, and you think it's different. It's not 100% purely. It's a little different, but it is an improvement. And I gotta tell you, Theo being benched. You know why I think Theo's being benched? I think he's being prepared to be shown the door. Any other comments, guys?
He was fit. He was fit yesterday to play as well. But what was the reason? So supposedly I guess he wasn't physically. I don't know, technically ready to play the game or something like that. I don't know what the excuse was.
He's not
to start
mentally,
anyways.
really. Yeah, Ancelotti. I mean, what more? What manager kind of? That's why Ancelotti was a brilliant manager when you had superstars, because Ancelotti is very much, I trust you. Show me what you can do. Ancelotti is a incredible, incredible man manager, possibly the greatest, in fact. But would you say, like, compare that to what was that manager you just described, Nico, that controls his players? De Zerbi.
Deserve,
Like
yeah.
polar opposite. One says, "Show me what you can do. I believe in you. I trust you. You are, you know, you just do your thing." And that's why he's so chilled on the sidelines, because he's like, these guys are doing it and they're showing it to me. The Zerbi, on the other hand, you need to be in this place at this spot at this time. He's known. And Nico, you've been completely open about this. From day one, you've highlighted this point about the Zerbi. Oh, our squad at the moment, what would it benefit from? I don't think our squad at the moment would benefit from an Ancelotti. There's maybe one or two players that might respond to something like that, but I think most of them are too dumb. I'm sorry. They're just not good
Whoa.
enough. Yeah, hey Nico, you know, I think most of them will not do shit with that. Oh, go do what you want. You'll find, I don't know, Chow sitting inside the goal or something. I don't know, man.
No, well, I know we're closing in about 2 hours now. Good run,
Yeah.
by the way. I think on Chow, to my surprise, and I got to give him credit, he hasn't he's improved a lot this season. The kid,
Mhm.
compared to the end of the last season, what he was doing, he straightened out his head. Whatever mental issues he was going on with last season, I think him being paired up with Gabia that many times now, and Gabia giving him that confidence, that leadership in the back is helped out Chow a lot. So
It's much more steady, isn't it? That's the word I
way more
use.
steady. He's more confident because he's playing
Yeah.
with somebody that he can trust.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I
It's the
and hope we don't get rid of tomorrow, because that's the other thing. We're short at center back, and there's rumors, and I heard
Yeah.
it on Just Juve's channel yesterday too. Juve is really interested in Tomori. That's the real. That's not bullshit news. That's not something that's being made up. Giuntoli is looking at Tomori. So
So you can expect tomorrow to be sold for like what, 10
and
million, 5
imagine
million?
that.
I mean,
Let's
that's
just
some
say,
big
yeah,
deal, right?
we can wrap this up in a few minutes, closing comments, whatever. But imagine us giving away another defender to Juve
no, I don't
and
want that.
strengthening their squad.
Yeah.
Because
But
I see where Mota's going with it. He wants to reunite Tomori and Kalulu, which makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Sorry,
I
John.
mean, I oh God, Tomori, everything went downhill for him the moment he went and grabbed that ball from the air and gave it to Abraham. Everything went downhill because he demonstrated that he did not give an F about um, the actual squad and the positions in the squad and the nominated penalty taker. He just wanted to help his buddy. That, for me, was a breaking point, and he needed to really rein that back. I still think we should keep him. Uh, I wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't sell him because I'd be worried about what's coming up underneath him. I mean, come on, guys. You can't tell me for 1 minute you prefer to have Pavlovic there. I'd be scared with Pavlovic in central defense.
But in defense, I think that's actually the least of my worries, Pavlovic. I don't know how to get my mind around this Emerson Royale thing. I don't know what is the solution. What is the solution for this guy
Hey,
being in our
guys,
team?
Bologna won 2-0, so we're back to eighth.
Hey, Forza Redbird. Excellent. Amazing.
Yeah.
Forza mid-table.
Forza Conference League. Give up.
Yeah. Abraham makes Jovic look like Van Basten. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's why I want Camarda. I really want to have Camarda exposed to playing. Just get him to play, man. But any closing comments, guys? Any closing comments?
Yeah, I have some. Yeah, I've been active. I'm sorry, fans, friends, family. But I do want to say is that I think it's important during this time where the club, performance-wise, is not doing so well, that at least we don't give up on our fellow brothers in this arena of pain that we have to go through. So it's great, and I said it before in our own little chat, is that we've come a long way in terms of sharing our opinions, our frustrations with how things are going. But we've always wanted the best for the club and, of course, for the fans, and our fellow friends here. So, yeah, it's coming up to the new year, and just hoping that 2025 becomes a better year for the club and for us personally as well.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Ozzy.
Nico, anything?
Yeah. Let's hope things, better things, for next season. Try to keep our heads up as much as we can. Doesn't look bright right now, but hopefully, things will change for 2025 for the club. Especially for the fan base as well. Whatever differences we have, most important things that at the end of the day, football is not the end of the world. It's not life. It's not life or death. Family, friends, health, those comes first. These friendships that we built over the last few seasons with Lab, Husney, um, other people as well, even with they have difference of opinions, I appreciate it in the long run. And we do welcome them, even with those people with different opinions, to come on our show and share those opinions as well. We've never shied away from having hosts on the show with different opinions whatsoever. And with that, I just want to say, everybody out there, Milan Nation, everybody that supported the channel over the last year or so, thank you. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff.
Awesome, guys. So, yeah, I'll just say Buon Natale a tutti. I hope you find some time to rest, be with your loved ones, enjoy it, relax a little bit. We haven't got a match for a while, so you don't have to think about it so much. Just chill. If Cardinale says anything, just don't read it. If anybody says anything from the club, just don't read it, enjoy it, take some fun yourself. Thank you all for joining us today and having this discussion. Honestly, awesome. Ricardo Fajadinho, Art, you're always awesome. Tick
Tick size.
size. I'm going to say tick.
Yeah.
And Abdi as well. Thank you all for joining. Honestly, we really appreciate it. As these guys put it really brilliantly, we're here to talk about the club. We're here to support each other throughout this. It's been a pretty awesome time to actually just talk to the fans about it. Imagine if we were alone watching the game. We'd probably be in a darkened room right now. I don't know, eating chocolates and doing nothing else. So, no, I hope you all have a great time. And buonissimo, tantissimi auguri, buon Natale a tutti. Ciao e forza Milan!
Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
All right, Milan Nation.